Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we have got another successful breeding in the Beastie Room, and this time it is our Poecilotheria regalis, the Indian Ornamental, which I tend to favour as probably the first choice for a beginner pokey. I think these are absolutely fantastic. Not only are they really pretty to look at, but they're relatively easy in temperament, and they're so easy to look after as well. They really are cool. So we've bred this female here. This is one of a number of females that we have in the room, and she has produced a lovely viable sack some time ago, and we left her to it. And as you can see by the front of this enclosure, once I know I've got an egg sac, I don't touch them. I just leave them alone. I don't bother spraying them. I don't do anything. I just leave them well alone, and that seems to work really well. Unfortunately, we lose the moss and things like that, but that's replaceable. I'd rather lose that than lose a sac because we've disturbed her. So if I turn her around, you can just about make out. You can see she's webbed up that a little bit more heavily than normal. If we get a light in there, you might just see in there. I don't know. Probably not. It probably just flares back, doesn't it? But you can see here, this is the remainder of the sack that she's thrown out. She's got rid of that, and there is slings behind there. So what we're going to do, we're going to open this up, and if possible, we are going to remove her, because it's always best, if we can, to remove the female, and then that way it just makes it a little bit safer for what we intend on doing. So we're going to clear this little bit of stuff up here. As you can see, it's really, I don't know, if I tilt that towards you, you can have a look at that webbing, and you can see just how thick and complex it is. It's layers upon layers built up one above the other, and this is giving security to that nest, and that's what's making it nice and secure. So if you were a predator, you would, unless you were a very big predator like us, you would give up. You know, you wouldn't want all of that tangling up and getting all over you and stuff like that. And also, not to mention the fact that you're going to have an angry spider the other side as well. So what we will do, we will pull her out, we will catch up our spiderlings, and then we will redo this whole enclosure. So we've got a plant here, we've got a bit of fresh moss, we've got some stuff here that we can play around with. So we're going to just pull this stuff out. We can use this. We just have a double check. See, there's a tiny, look at that, look. We've got tiny little moleskins of where our spiderlings, look at them. Aren't they fabulous? Tiny little moleskins from where our slings have molted out. Don't they look really cool? They look like little pieces of jewellery on there. So we're just going to have a double check, make sure that we've got no little spiderlings hiding out in there. It doesn't look like it. That looks quite good. Webbing everywhere. Right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to try and find where our female is. So I'm just going to get rid of some of this rubbish here. It's much easier if you can clear some of this rubbish away. Now you do need to be careful with these pokies because they will defend themselves. Right, there she is. Once we've identified where she is, it's a little bit easier for us to work. So we're going to pull that out of there. Get rid of all this rubbish. It's what we commonly know as the dirt curtain. Right, let me see. Unfortunately, she is buried quite deep.
Just there.
Yeah, can you see her?
See if I can zoom in.
I'll move this bit of stuff out of the way.
Just...
There we go. And you can see all them young spiderlings. Some of them are a little bit behind the others.
Can't really see the spiderlings. We can see some movement.
But we can Let's just check our egg sac. So this is our egg sac here. And we can open that up. And you can see these are all the very, very first molts inside here. Tiny little things. Very, very cool.
Remember to show us, not look at it yourself.
Right, so what we're going to do now, we are going to try and get her to walk out nice and gently. She's well and truly tucked in there. She don't really want to come out. Here she comes. This is where she will start to misbehave. What we want her to do is to come up. She don't want to leave them babies. Once we get her to break free, like we have now, you'll see her attitude changes. So what we're going to do, we're going to get her to walk out the top of the enclosure. No, we don't want you going back. We don't want you going back. We want you to come up. Right. Here we go. Here we go. We got her there. She'll just stay there. We'll get our catch cup. And hopefully we see this is why we try and get them to come all the way up. Because it makes it a little easier. You see, she doesn't want to leave them, which is fine. That's what we expect her to do. Come on. You see how she's constantly trying to dig in and get herself hidden away. She's now underneath the web. Not the best place in the world, my love. There we go. Come on. You can see how they can be really quite stubborn and tucked down. Right, that's it. Now come up. I'll turn that around. You see that bit of wood's the pain. I was trying to leave the wood in because I can see we've got spiderlings on it. I'm going to have to leave that there. Right. Come on, missus. There we go. There we go. Yeah, we'll have a proper look at her in a moment. We'll get her out of the way for now. Now, if we can look down into the bottom of this enclosure, we'll see all our spiderlings right down in a heap in the bottom. You see them?
Just going down now.
You can see them all down there. And they'll set up home in the bottom. Now you'll see also as well that some of them have still to do that final molt. So we could be a little bit early. We could have probably left with them for another week. But it's going to be no harm. These guys will still molt out. They'll molt out in the pots.
Would you leave them in here and rehouse her in another tank?
There's probably no need. I mean, we could do that. We could leave them in there and just let them do their thing. But we're not going to actually benefit anything from doing it that way. So we'll just check our stuff here, make sure we've got nothing in it. And then we can start hooking these out. There is no simple way.
We need to get a step from in here, don't we?
Yeah, you're getting that short syndrome again, haven't you? So we've got all of our tubs here ready, and then we've got a single catch cup here. So we've got one there. So that's all we do, is literally chase them over, and then we can get our tub here and put them in. Now if you have a look at this one here, you can see this one has got one more molt to go before it turns into that
straight so it's for the camera.
What we call a spiderling. So it's literally got one more molt to go. It's not far off. That's it.
No, get another one.
No, get another one.
That
I'm sure it makes the world of difference, don't
that
it?
one was camouflage.
Was it? Right.
Catch a few up, then we'll look at the individual ones.
Okay. I'll try and get one that's here we go, look, let's have a look at this one. Can you see that one there?
Stay still.
Not moving. So you can see this one is actually formed into a proper spiderling now.
Can I go through the hole? Because the light, that's it, that's better.
Yeah, so this is what we call a proper spiderling now. This has done its first proper molt into being a proper spider.
That was better.
So you can see the difference between that one and the other one, where the other one still has that one more molt to go. So these guys will grow really quite quickly, and they'll feed. These will start feeding now. So once we get that molt to a proper spiderling, these guys will start to feed. We often get asked, you know, when they start, and it is literally the moment they become fluffy little spiderlings, they will start to hunt. When they're, if I get this one here and show you this one, in fact I can probably, I'll put this one on my hand. Now we can see here, this one has still got that one molt to go, as you can see. Yeah, and it's very dark. The other one was nice grey colour, like the proper regalis colours. And so this one has got one more molt to go. This one won't necessarily feed like this. It will just carry on using the remains of its egg sac. So we wouldn't bother putting food in for one of this size. We would wait for it to molt, and then we will go and put food in. So as you can imagine, this is quite anyone who breeds their spiders will tell you the same thing. This is the time consuming piece. Trying to catch them all up, put them all in their pots. So it all takes a lot of time. And obviously the larger the sack of spiders, the longer it's going to take. So this one's, again, this one's molted out nicely. So in terms of breeding, these guys, the regalis or the Indian ornamental, are a relatively simple one of the pokies to actually breed. And if you're sort of new to breeding and you want to try your hand at doing some of these arboreal spiders, the regalis is a really good one to give a go. Oh, such sticky little things. So if you remember, we've done a number of videos actually covering the Indian ornamental. If you go back and check them, you'll see we've had pairing videos, we've done care videos on them. We've pretty much covered everything that they do, and they really are a fabulous, like, first time for beginners. These are really, really cool spiders. Very, very pretty. Amazing how well they stick to everything. Really are. So this is good now. We're actually starting to we're just starting to pair a few bits and pieces up in the room. We've got a long way to go yet, but we are getting there. And there's we want to try and get some of our sturmies done now, because they're another spider that's not really being bred in the hobby. There's not many of them at all, so it would be really nice to be able to do those. So you've got to catch all these first. Right, so I think what we will do, we will catch all these up, and then we will come back and we'll find out what we got for our total count. We'll see you very shortly. Well then guys, back at last. That, considering it actually looked like a relatively small sack, that turned out to be 142, all in there, 142 slings. And the majority of those were actually full proper fluffy slings. So there was just a few behind. So yeah, when we were digging through, I thought, oh, it's not going to be a particularly big sack, to be fair. Didn't think there was going to be many in it at all. And what a surprise we had. They were actually buried underneath, quite a lot of them, absolutely just buried. So what we're going to do now, we're going to clean this up, and basically so we can start again. We'll give it a quick, and all I normally do when they're like this is I literally just give them a quick spruce up. They don't need nothing too special. We'll just give them a quick spruce up. And then obviously we'll take off any labels that we had regarding that pairing. So we'll take them off, get rid of them. Take a bit of wood out. So yeah, we only need to give it a little bit of a spruce. Just clean it up a little bit. And then she can go straight back in. As you can see there, we've got a little bit on the glass. Get rid of that. This is an interesting thing actually. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were saying about oh, so we'll take this information off, we don't need that. We'll leave the last molt date, because that will be interesting for when we come to our next molt, and she probably won't take long and she'll molt out again. So we're going to throw in a bit of soil now.
You were just saying you were speaking to someone the other day.
Yes, we were talking the other day. I went to pick up some spiders for one of our subscribers, and I must say they had some absolutely lovely enclosures, really, really nice. Planted enclosures as well. And as you know, we do like a planted enclosure. And it was interesting because they actually said that, you know, sometimes the plants work, sometimes they don't. But they don't stress about it. They literally just pull out the old one, replace it with a new one. And it got me thinking, because many people often sort of message and say, like, you know, oh, I've done this enclosure, not particularly happy, but I don't want to disturb the spider. You know, should I just leave it as it is? And the simple question is no. You know, if you're not happy with something that you've done, then change it. You know, literally change it, because it's not going to be that bad. Spiders are generally really, really good at adapting. And if you imagine in the wild, they probably get disturbed, kicked out of home, all sorts of stuff on a regular basis. So, you know, don't ever feel that you can't change things once you've actually done them, because you can. You know, you really can. So we're just going to put that in there like that. We've got a plant here as well, so we're going to stick a plant in here. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, to be honest. I think I'm going to put it in the front, actually. Stick it in the front here, because then that way that will also give a little bit of cover over that there, which is hopefully where she's going to set up home again. So put that in there like that. We've got our bit of moss here as well, so we can change this. This is quite dry, this moss, but it's actually still alive. Moss is a wonderful thing. It can totally dry out, and then with a little bit of water, it will often come straight back again, just like it was before. So we're going to put that in there, and then we've got a little bit left over, so we're going to cut a bit round the base of this plant. That will help hold any moisture in there as well. I'm just going to put that through there. It'll all help, and then we can give that a good soaking, and then she should, in theory, feel right back at home. So we're going to give that a quick soaking now. Fill up a water bowl. So although we've cleaned the tank out, we've replaced it with the same cork bark that we had in there before, and this will, she will know that the pheromones, her pheromones and what have you, will be on that cork bark. So it won't feel like an entirely alien thing, you know. It won't feel like she's going into a brand new enclosure.
What about when you reuse cork bark for other spiders then, if you're saying it's...
Well, what we normally do with that, if we're going to reuse it, because yes, you can reuse it as much as you like. We never throw any of it away, to be honest. And all I normally do with the cork bark is I don't tend to wash it or anything. I tend to just brush it off with a stiff brush, and that will clean most things out. The only time we're really, really careful is if we've used things in enclosures where they're bad hair kickers. So things like some of the nandus, the sturmies, blondies, all of them, they can tend to be a little bit of a pain with the kicking of hairs and stuff. So we're with them, we'll give them a really, really good brush off, and sometimes we will wash them. But I find generally washing them, it tends to discolour them and what have you, and I just don't like the way they look afterwards. So I tend to not wash them. But it is a personal thing. You know, you might actually prefer to give them a wash. Right, so we're going to get our bit of wood now, so we can transfer our female onto this bit of wood, and we can have a look at her, because it's important to see how a well-maintained spider looks after it's actually gone through the process of producing an egg sac and then sitting on it for like 35-40 days more, and how that spider should look. And what we're looking at now is we're looking at condition. So what we're going to do, we're just going to very, very gently ask her to leave this box that we spent so long trying to get her in. So we're just going to get it to come out nice and gently. There we go. I know you're going to want to hide, my dear. Whoa. Slow down. We really are in a rush. Right. Now just remember, these are pokies, so be wary of your fingers. And hopefully she will just sit tight and let us have a lovely look at her. She will settle down in a minute into that pokey stance. So let me try and find where the point of balance is on this piece of wood. There we go. So then, this is absolutely perfect example now. Look at the abdomen, and we can see there that she has still got a relatively full abdomen. And this is the sort of thing we want. Some of the spiders, when they produce an egg sac and they then sit and hatch that egg sac out, sometimes their abdomens can shrink back quite badly. And this is where we would have preferred to have had a little bit more in terms of weight on the spider when she first went down, because often or not, once they start to produce that egg sac, the last thing they want to do is they don't bother to feed so much. So it's important that we try and get as much weight as we possibly can on our spider before she goes into producing that sac.
I'm coming your side.
I can turn it round.
Yeah, she
Would have been better.
nice, didn't she? I don't want her to close her legs.
Excuse me? Get a nice picture of her face like that. So as you can see there, she's sitting there quite steady. She's in no panic anymore. And by allowing her to go underneath that piece of wood in the beginning, she felt that little bit of darkness. It helps to settle her a little bit. And then as we moved her out, as long as we're nice and gentle, you'll see now, because there's no movement in the wood, we're not moving it around, she'll actually sit there quite good. As we were saying, it's this sort of calm behaviour that that makes these an ideal beginner spider. Right.
I'll go back to my side now. How is that?
We're giving us all a bleeding headache at the moment.
Maybe.
Right. We're going to do one more picture there. That'll be our thumbnail. So what we're going to do now is we are going to move her over into the enclosure. Now she will probably try and go underneath, or she might just leg it clean off the piece of thing straight onto our desk.
Obviously we can't see that at the minute.
No, nor can I. So what we're going to do now is we are going to get her to backtrack and go the other way. We might get her to come up outside the lip. Here she comes. Here she comes. There we go.
See that lovely yellow now?
It's beautiful, isn't it? The yellow on the legs. And this is what they use to ward off anybody that's trying to attack. So what we're going to do now, we're going to ask her to walk down the front. So if you go backwards, get a bit of a wider angle, we're going to just bring this in like this to stop her going back down the desk. Once she's on here now, you see how she's there now? We can now use our catch cup much more effectively. So we can literally go like that, and we can put it over her like that, nice and gently. And we can use our lid, just touch her very gently. That's all you've got to do, just very, very gently. And now she's back in her box. And then what we'll do, we'll turn her enclosure around. Now, using our lid, we can now get her to move back out. And there you go. She all went in there nice and steady. No threat postures, no nothing. That is exactly what we're looking for with all of our spiders. To try and move them with the least amount of trouble as possible. And as we've shown there, even when our spider decides halfway through the game that it wants to change the rules, leave the piece of wood and go across the desk, it's still no reason to panic. That spider's not going anywhere. If you just let it settle down and then manipulate it. So we could have tried to have caught it underneath that lip, but it doesn't allow us much room to move about. But we know that the front of this is one big open canvas. So we can then get her to come out, let her sit on top, get her faculties together, let her settle down, and then we can just gently ask her to move back down. So we're actually allowing her to wander off into a position that is much easier for us to be able to maintain and control. And that is what it's all about, getting yourself in a position where you can control the situation going forward. And hopefully you saw how simple and easy that was. Right then, well, I hope you enjoyed that. What a cracking result, 142 slings. These will be available now, they're ready to go now. So if anyone is interested, message us on Facebook, and we will also have some at the shows as well. No doubt we will be taking some with us. Right then, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you all soon, guys.